Today we are asking the question, what is the language of God? And not only are we asking the question, what is the language of God, but we will be revealing exactly what that language is. Now, this is something that has been embedded in ancient history and has also been discussed in secret societies such as Freemasonry, known as the lost word of the master. And it also has been revealed, or has hints of it being revealed, in modern physics as well as philosophy. Just basically almost every field that you can imagine has bits and pieces of what the language of God is embedded in it. But we're going to be examining all that and exactly what that means and what it is. It's going to be really good. Now, if you're new to my channel, please make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you do enjoy my work, consider supporting on Patreon. It really helps. We have weekly secret live streams, like one right after this, where we will be talking about, does consciousness create reality? Now, getting back to the topic, I want to remind you all that when we say God, we're not talking about some theistic idea of God, such as the God of mainstream Christianity or religions like that. We're not talking about a God in the sky who knows your thoughts and created the world in 7 days. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about God as in the absolute, as in the foundational aspect of reality. See, in philosophy, that's what God means. It's really mainstream religion that has tainted and twisted the word God to mean this theistic version that we discuss, that most people use colloquially today. But we're talking about God not in that, but in the aspect of the absolute, the foundational nature of existence, of the all that there is. So that's really important to understand as we go forward. Now, to begin this discussion and understanding what the language of God is, because we're going to be talking about what it is, first we have to go back and see sort of what ancient history has had to say about this. Now, to start doing that, I want to look at some excerpts by this article written by The Sovereign Seeker, which is on medium.com. And it starts off by saying that according to Hindu tradition, our reality was constructed from cosmic sound. So this is important because we're talking about the language of God. And so this automatically brings to mind sound, right? So what we want to do is first bring that piece. There's going to be a lot of pieces that we have to bring in to put it all together. But first we want to talk about cosmic sound. So according to Hindu tradition, reality was constructed from cosmic sound. Now, in John chapter 1, verse 1 of the Christian New Testament, it states that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So, really, examining that again, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, that's really important to understand, because most people skip that part over where the Word is God. God is equivalent to the Word. Now, the Word is going to be a language. And so, again, we're seeing in different traditions this association with words, language, sound, vibration, the lost word of the master in Freemasonry as well. So in the Hermetic text, the Divine Pythagoras, it reads, "From that light, a certain holy word joined itself unto nature, and outflew the pure and unmixed fire." Now, here's another piece that we have to bring in, because we see that we're bringing light into it as well. So you see it says, "From that light, a certain holy word joined itself unto nature." So we have sound, we have vibration, we have word, and then we also are bringing light into it as well. That's another piece that's going to be very important. Now, I want to talk about as well that if we go back to ancient Greece, we know the figure Pythagoras. Now, the figure, from the Pythagorean, he's famous for the Pythagorean theorem, that thing you learned in school that you probably, completely forgot about. So the Pythagorean theorem is very important to reality, actually, but we'll talk about that another time. But Pythagoras learned and studied in ancient Egypt. He was, it's said that he was taught the language by the pharaoh himself, and reportedly was the only foreigner that was allowed to study with the priests. And so he studied and learned a lot from ancient Egypt. And he brought this knowledge back with him to Greece. And he founded his own mystery school that taught the secrets of nature. And one thing that's really important to understand about Pythagoras is that Pythagoras said that there is geometry in the humming of the strings, and there is music in the spacing of the spheres. So two important things are going on here, and you're going to see that this is all going to connect. So now with Pythagoras, we have the idea of humming of the strings, music in the spheres. So this idea that creation is reliant on this sort of idea of music, humming of the strings, spacing of the spheres. There's this musical element to it. Again, music, sound, vibration, but also geometry in the humming of the strings. So you see that now mathematics is playing into it as well. So now we're bringing that other piece into the puzzle, because Pythagoras also said all is number, and number rules the universe. So you're having all these pieces come in. You're having mathematics, you're having light, you're having sound, you're having vibration, and all having to do with what reality is, the creation of the universe, the manifestation of the universe in all reality. Again, these are all going to connect, and we're going to see how they relate. So it says that modern physics also tells us as much. Nikola Tesla gave a public statement in 1932 that said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I did a video on that, by the way. So check out on my channel my video on Nikola Tesla if you want to know more about Tesla and his thoughts. So it says, there are countless examples of cosmologies from around the world, of every faith, culture, and creed, that use sound to explain the creation of our universe. So not only that, but going back to ancient times, once again, we talk about the Gnostics a lot on my channel. You know we do. But as a reminder, the Gnostic says that the ultimate reality, the true reality, is a realm of pure mind, a divine mind. And that mind is what they call the realm of pure light, the pleroma, the realm of pure light. So they associate with ultimate existence as being pure light. And one could also even look to the Bible that says, let there be light. So light, sound, music, vibration, all coming together. Now it's important to see, it says, when we take a look at modern physics, we understand that light is simply waves. Light is simply frequency. So what connects all these things together? You have all these different pieces coming together. Okay, so you have light, you have mind, you have mathematics, you have sound, you have vibration, you have all this. What connects them all together? What links them all together? Well, that's frequency. Frequency links all these things together. What is light? Light is frequency. What is sound? Sound is frequency. What is thought? Ultimately, thoughts are frequencies. And what about mathematics? Frequency is a mathematical concept. It's oscillations per unit. It's a totally mathematical concept. So you have the idea of frequency that links and combines all of these things together. And, just to take a look at modern physics again, the physicist David Bohm also said that the universe can be thought of as, an ocean of light, an energy of light, ocean of light, I believe is what David Bohm said. And then if we look at the work of Walter Russell, who's an extremely intelligent person, highly recommend his work. Walter Russell said that reality is mind, reality is light, and that reality is based on waves, is based on frequency. Reality is mind, reality is light, based on frequency. So this is all the reason why I say this, because the idea of frequency is what is going to be key here in uniting all these ideas, where different people across different times, whether it's in ancient Greece or if it's in ancient Egypt or if it's in even modern day physics, and having to do with quantum mechanics, because stepping into quantum mechanics for a minute, what happens in quantum mechanics? Well, what about the nature of matter? When you take a look at the nature of matter, when you get to the quantum level of matter, you see that matter does not behave like particles anymore. What does matter behave like? Waves, frequencies. So ultimately, even matter is based on waves, is based on frequencies. So do you start to see the connection here in that you have this idea of frequency, which is also associated with matter. And that's important because we're talking about the language of God. And the language of God is something where, you know the saying, I create as I speak. And I create as I speak. This language of God is a language of creation. It's a language of creation. It's a language of transformation. It's not just an ordinary, obviously, it's a language of God. It's not a language that's just about, you know, vocalizing something. It's not like speaking in tongues or something like that. It's a language that is a creative language. And let's take a look at a little more of this here. Says there are countless examples of cosmologies from around the world, of every faith, culture, and creed that use sound to explain the creation of our universe. Every solid object you hold in your hand remains intact due to the vibratory nature of the atoms contained within it. Crank up the heat and the item will suddenly transform, since the bond between the atoms can no longer sustain their connection. This is the thing, is that when you start to look at the heart of existence, you're going to find that ultimately everything boils down to waves and frequency. Everything boils down to that. And the reason why they're talking about heat, because even if you just think of the idea of heat, well, you know, the average person, I think, doesn't really associate that with, say, frequency or anything like that. But really what heat is just a measure of frequency. It's a measure of the rate of vibration of the particular atoms and the electrons associated with those, and specifically the electrons. And so you pick something and you start to delve into the heart of it, you're going to find frequencies and waves. So our world is made of the movement of energetic forces that cannot be observed with the eyes. It's as if vibration is the glue that keeps the earth and everything on it stable and alive. It is through the waves and particles produced by these cosmic vibrations that enable us to observe our environment. Everything that you see, that's a product of frequency. Light is frequency. So when everything that you're seeing around you, you are looking at a world of frequencies. Every color that you see, which defines your world, is just a different frequency of light. The only difference between red and blue and green are different frequencies. That's it. That's the only difference. Now, your mind interprets those frequencies and experiences it as color. So you're looking around and you're having an experience of those color. You're really having an experience of those frequencies. Remember those paint by number books you could get? They used to make a long time, those coloring books where you would either paint or use color or use crayons, and there'd be a picture and there'd be different numbers, and it'd be like, oh, well, this number you do the color red, this number you do blue, this number you do green. Well, that's kind of like what existence is. Everything is really just a frequency and a number, but your mind interprets that frequency and number as color. And, well, what about everything, though? When it comes down to touch and feeling, what you're ultimately doing is just experiencing frequencies as well. But these are just frequencies of a different kind relating to matter. So, it goes on to say the divinity of the five senses, and it basically talks about what we were just seeing. We see colors because of the absorption and reflection of light. We hear sound because of the waves of noise that move from the air detected by fluid. So whether you're seeing something, whether you're feeling something, whether you're hearing something, whether you're getting hot or cold, it all boils down to different frequencies, different vibrations. Similar systems with the human body have evolved to detect these vibrations so that we can make sense of our world. Our brain is in a constant state of communication between our inner world and our outer world, and the method of that communication is vibration. Now, we can understand this as frequency, really. Now, vibration and frequency are really the same thing. It's just a little more modern to talk in terms of frequency, but this is something that's been known for such a long time. If you go back to the early 1900s or like 1800s or late 1800s and look at occult literature, it's constantly talking about reality in terms of vibration. Reality is vibration. Reality is vibration. Reality is vibration. And that's just saying reality is frequency. We've just realized, that, we describe reality in terms of frequency. We're really describing it in terms of vibration. But frequency is just, it's a little more accurate to get across what it means. But I mean, it's the same thing, really. But it's something that's been known for quite a long time. So while humanity has learned to create language and writing to communicate beyond time and space, the forces of the divine also have a language. And this is really important here. The cosmos speaks to us in terms of light, touch, sound, smell, taste, and electromagnetic pulse. One could say that the creator of our universe speaks to us through our reality. What is God trying to teach you today? Now, here is the crux of the matter and where it all comes together. So we look at all these things coming together in terms of frequency, mind, vibration, light, and how these are all just aspects of the same thing. So what we can understand the language of God to be is frequency, is fundamental frequency that expresses itself through everything that we experience here together right now. So the language of God, yes, the language of God is ultimately frequency. But what that, because that sounds so simple though, but what that ultimately means is that everything that you're experiencing right now, that is the language of God. All reality, all experience is the language of God. What you are hearing, what you are touching, what you are smelling, your pain, your hopes, your emotions, your fears, the material world, trees and squirrels and other humans and loves, sights, colors, sound, all that, everything, dreams, everything in our total field of experience. That is the language of God, because the language of God is a creative language, is a creative force, and it all boils down to frequency, which is an expression of everything around us. Everything around us is just an experience of that fundamental frequency of reality expressing itself in different ways and different forms. And you can understand it like that language. When you have a language, you have different words. And those different words are formed in a language by putting together different letters. So when you have a book, you pick up a book and you read a good story, it creates an entire world within your mind. But that world that's being created in your mind is based on a book, which is based on words being combined in a certain way, which is based on letters being combined in a certain way. So when you take the fundamental frequencies of existence, they are the letters that become the words that becomes the story of our lives. You take the individual frequencies and can combine them into myriad patterns that give rise to reality around us. And this is our story, and this is our journey through this creative force that we are ultimately the masters and creators of. Because not only are we the ones reading the book, but we're also the authors of the book and the characters in the book. We're all of those things at once, because when we're talking about God, remember, it's not some kind of monotheistic God in the sky. What is the absolute fundamental nature of reality, which is God, which is the absolute, is us. We are beings of frequency. We are beings of mind, thought. Thought is frequency. We are eternal beings of frequencies. And so this world is a product of our interacting frequencies together. This is a dream world that we have created together and created and weaved this story for ourselves as the authors of this story and placed ourselves within this story. Now, you can learn to speak the language of God and become the master of your life and the master of your story and create a brilliant story with us when you, as the character in the story, realize that you're the author. That's what you need to do. And that's what we all need to do. We all need to, that's how you level up and raise your consciousness and start to obtain a God consciousness when you realize I'm not just a character in the story. I am also the author of this story. And when you realize that, and all of us realize that together, we can begin to create a better story together. Because right now the story is trash. There's people, there's racism, sexism, homophobia, and this all goes from a misunderstanding of what we are and what reality is. And once we understand that, and once we know that, we can harness the language of God, which is our language, which is a creative language, to create a new world. And we do that by working together with the knowledge of what we are, where we are, and why we are here. So we're no longer bowing to some creator God in the sky or marching to the plans of some dictator or whatever have you. We realize that we're all in this together and that we are the creators and we are the weavers of our own story, and we can begin to create something beautiful and something magnificent. So what is the language of God? It's a creative language. It's a language that is all around us. It's embedded in everything. It's the world we live in. It's our pleasures, it's our pain, it's our hopes, it's our dreams. This is what it is. And we can learn to master that language and build a better world together. Now, I have to say that there is so much more to this. I talk about this stuff a lot on my channel. So if you want to understand more about what goes on here, take a look at the different playlists I have on my channel. There's a lot of videos, a lot to talk about here. Check it out. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, because there's a lot of people that don't want this information to get out there. And we want to make sure that we can spread this information so that the world can really wake up to what they are and we can start building that better story. When you like and subscribe, it tells the algorithm to spread this stuff around. And while it's kind of ridiculous that we have to jump through hoops like that, that's how we spread information these days. So please do it. And also, hey, if you enjoy my work, if you ever feel like you've learned something or gotten something from my work, consider supporting on Patreon. It's how I do what I do. It's how I have a roof over my head, everything like that. And I appreciate it very much. So you get access to our weekly secret live streams, our hidden Discord server, The Citadel. You can also help out by joining YouTube membership that's right below this channel. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone who does support, especially Philanthropist, Zach, Renaissance Fairy, Cassidy, Michael, Angela, Maria, Top of the World, Ethan, DB, and Joel. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.